All right, y'all. So I did film part of a part two, but then I realized that the none of the sound picked up for whatever reason. I'm using this little new microphone my wife got me. And for whatever reason, like half the video, there was no sound. So I'm gonna try to splice some pieces in here now, so you can kind of see where we're at. But just a quick overview: we're at my buddy Tim's shop. He's got his shop next to his house, so we're here. We got the Impala here. I took the car to Cars and Coffee. Transmission went out. The last video I showed you doing the upgrades with the boost valve, the pressure regulator valve. So now we got the transmission over here on the bench getting ready to put it in. The transmission's already out of the car. It's in the back of my truck. The new transmission's over there on the bench. But we had a couple of things happen in the process of taking that transmission out, which has gotten us to where we are today. So main thing that happened was these are the bolts that hold the catalytic converters to the exhaust manifolds. And there's 6 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the one that actually came off, 6. So out of those 6 bolts, 5 of them, the whole stud snapped off. So in a situation like that, normally it's not too bad, but these were rusted pretty bad. So you can heat the flange up, drill it out, grab some vice grips on a vice and pull them out. But that's not the route we went. Yes, the infamous SLP ceramic coated headers. So when the bolts snapped, I was left with a decision. Am I gonna try to fix them, or do I try to find some headers? And there's only really 2 headers that I would run on a B body. Well, 3. This is one of them: the BBK ceramic coated headers or the Clear Image Tri-Wise. The BBKs have went up to like $780, and the Tri-Wise are $1,200. This car has Tri-Wise. They're awesome. I've installed them. I mean, they're long tubes. They fit like, they were made for the car like no other. I mean, there's no hammering. They fit perfectly. These are kind of like the BBKs in the sense of how they run, especially on that passenger side manifold. The Edelbrocks, what are the other ones? The hookers, they are trash. If you've installed the hookers, half the time don't even fit. And then the Edelbrocks, they cause a lot of fires because of how they run in the engine bay. So your best bet, if you can find a set of these SLPs or the BBKs or the Tri-Wise, those are like the 3 headers that will work. So shout out to my boy Justin, JP Services, who I traded some stuff for to get these. So we'll be putting these in, maybe not today because I forgot I need flange gaskets and I don't have those. But I will test fit them and stuff like that. And I need to clean up this mating service to get them to fit right. But I will test fit them, just put a couple bolts in, make sure they fit. So that's one part of the project today. And this is how things can snowball. You go down the rabbit hole. You're like, okay, I'm just going to put the transmission in. And then the bolt snaps. You're like, okay, now we're going to do headers. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do headers, I might as no. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Except we are putting a new transcooler in it. I'm putting a new radiator in it. I should have had that today, but there's a delay in shipping, so I won't have the radiator till tomorrow. So since we're putting a new radiator in, I am gonna put -6AN trans cooler lines and make all new lines from the transmission to the radiator. And I have a new transcooler going in it. I've seen some people on the forums talk about how they leak and stuff like that. I've got -6 lines on my Sierra out there, and I put those on from the transmission to the cooler. I put those on in 2022 when I rebuilt the engine, and I probably put 60,000 miles on that truck, driving all over the country, to Texas, all over the place. 0 issues out of them till this point, and they're still going strong, no problems. So I know I'll be fine in this Impala. I may drive every once in a while. So let me show you some of the parts that we're going to use today to do the transcooler and how we're going to adapt it and everything like that. So first off, we have Derail Performance. This is kind of like a True Cool 40K, but not the fake version. There's a lot of like Chinese ones out there that people have had problems with. Derail is a trusted name, so I went with I've had this one actually for quite some time. I really got this to put on my Sierra because with me towing, it runs hot, but I ended up just getting a fan for the transcooler that's already on that truck. So I bought this originally for that, but we're going to use this in the Impala today. What you're going to need to grab are these fittings here. These will go into the bottom here into this fitting. It's a 5/8 by 18 inverted flare. So you need two of those to go to convert it to a 6AN on the transcooler, and then you'll need two more that go on the transmission line outlets on the radiator. So we're not using this radiator, but there's two fittings here, which are the same thread pitch and size, 5/8 by 18 inverted flare. So we'll put two on the transcooler, two here, and then we'll make our lines, and we'll be replacing this transcooler here with the big one right up front. So let me show you some of the stuff we're going to use for that too. So in addition to these, you're going to need some assorted fittings. So I went with Evil Energy. They're actually becoming quite a well-known brand on the Amazon and eBay world. So they sell a kit with just all kinds of different fittings that you're going to need. I'll drop one. We got 180-degree fittings. We got 45-degree fittings. We got 90-degree fittings. We got some keepers to keep it nice and neat. Oh, camera's over here. Keep it nice and neat. So that's our 45, our 180. We got some straights. And then we got about 20 feet here of -6 line. I also have some left over from various projects in this bucket. So some of the shorter pieces, we can use some of this, and some of it's already got -6 fittings on it. So I'll go through that and see. I've collected quite a bit of stuff, and then we got a bunch of additional fittings in here that we can use possibly for this. And in addition to that, not only are we going to keep this transmission cool, new lines, new radiator, new transcooler, and just to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do, I have a glow shift transmission temperature gauge. I originally bought this, if you go way back in my videos, I bought this actually for my two-door Tahoe that I had. I had a 95 two-door Tahoe, and I originally bought that. I had to put a transmission in. I originally bought it for that, but I ended up not using it, and it's literally been in this box for 3 years because I bought that two-door Tahoe the exact same day I bought my Sierra, and that was in 2022. So this is the only thing is it has a -6 connector, which I had already ordered. The problem is the temperature probe is too long. So what I need to do is get an adapter that's a little bit deeper. So we'll need to get a fitting, and then we'll put this in line with the transmission lines, and then we'll run that up to the dash, and we'll have wherever I decide to mount this, I don't know, but I got assorted fittings all over the place. So that's kind of the project for today. So main thing today is we're gonna get the transmission back in. So here's our 4L60 saw us work on, and then this is our 2800 stall Summit converter that's going in. So it's enough talking. Exhaust manifolds are already out. I already took them out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test fit them first so I can kind of see how everything lines up before I put the transmission in. Because I know I read on the forum there was an issue with the number 3 primary burning here, but we got these metal caps on here, and I really should change these plug wires while I'm in here. But again, down the rabbit hole. They work fine. I'm going to leave them alone. But I'm going to go ahead and test fit the headers, see how they fit, make sure there's no clearance issues, and we'll be able to see it a lot better with the transmission out. I'm going to go underneath, look at it, make sure everything's where it needs to be. We're also going to have to modify the EGR tube because that broke too. So this is the bolt that holds that EGR tube to the side of the exhaust manifold. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. So on the B-body exhaust manifold, you have this port here, and there's a metal tube that runs from this to the back of the intake. Somebody's welded this shut and capped them off. This is if you're in California or somewhere where you need emissions, you got to be carb legal. That's why a lot of people run these headers, because they're, you can run all your emission stuff and stuff like that. We're in Florida now. We don't need that. And even if we were still in Georgia, we wouldn't need it because these cars are too old to need emissions. But this is capped off here, so we'll have to cap it off behind the intake and then tune the EGR out, and we'll do that later. So we'll have to do that. But other than that, that's about it. So let me go ahead and put the headers in, let you guys check it out, see how they look in there. Check fitment issues around the heater hoses and stuff, which I already know I'm gonna have to modify. Not to worry about it because I'm putting a radiator in it anyway. So this is the perfect time to do that. Make sure the AC lines clear, all that stuff. We'll cut the existing smog pump stuff off. We'll get rid of the smog pump, clean that up, and then we'll go from there. Oh, we need some light. Can't see nothing. All right. Just put one bolt in here to hold it in place. Great. We don't need that. And then, you know, we have header bolts. What am I doing? All right, so we're going to try these Cometic gasket header bolts. These are from O'Reilly's. They have a smaller head on them because I tried to use the stock header bolt and they're too big. So we're going to try these. Like I said, right now we're just going to test fit these headers. We're going to test fit them, see how they fit, put it in the air, line up the transmission, kind of see how everything kind of goes into place. I imagine it should be pretty good, but I just want to make sure since we have the room with the transmission out that we're able to address any concerns easily right now. So let me get this opened up and then we'll toss this in. All right, passenger side going in. And again, we're just test fitting, no gasket, nothing. Just want to see how this is going to play and how it's going to play because headers generally are not fun. And these are, even though they're good headers, they're still not exempt from being a pain in the ass. I have to disconnect that wiper motor, move it out the way. Let's try to put this one in from the bottom. See what happens. So let's go up with it. This thing's got a mean oil leak. And really, this is when I should be addressing it, but you know, ideally, I'd want to pull the engine. Be 100% honest with you. Ow! Okay, so clearance down here actually looks pretty good. I think we should be fine there. All right, let's see about this one here. Ugh. Okay. Dipstick delete mod. But now the engine dipstick is in the way. So let's unbolt that and pull that out. It's really easy from down here. That's not going to work either. Let's pull the wire out. All right, so let's see how these things fit from the bottom. Have to take dipstick out just to help it in there. And then we did catch a casualty there. The coolant temp switch broke. Let me see, can't really see it out the light. Ugh. So we broke that right there. But that's okay. I'll get another one. That's broken, but other than that, it's in there. Now, I will say this rear bolt on the header, there's really no way to get that from the top. This is something, and you're going to have to come in here, even with the tool they give you. Dropped it, this thing. Oh, you know, you might be able to snake it in there. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to be tight, but I mean, the easiest way to do it is with an open end wrench on the backside. And then as far as the spark plug wires and stuff like that, I mean, they're good. They're not very close to any of the primaries, anything like that. They're good. On this side, you can see they're all good. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and install these and call it good. Since I can access all the bolts from back here, I'm going to drop the gaskets in, and then we're just going to go ahead and toss these in before we put the transmission in and call it a day. All right, getting ready to put these gaskets in. And I was like, you know what? My buddy sent me these gaskets with the headers. And I was like, well, I bought some new ones. And then I realized these ain't going to work. So definitely gave me the wrong ones at the part store. But I believe this is the right gasket for the throttle body. But it's fine. We'll run these. And they have a part number on them, which is 1404. And it's a Fel-Pro. So if we run into any issues, we can always just order a new set. But just for the sake of getting these in now, we're going to go ahead and drop these in. What I do like about them is the two ends, you just kind of sit them. You can leave the manifold, the header loose, sit them in there with just the two end bolts, and then tighten the rest up at the same time. So let me show you how these things look, just, in there, if you don't know. All right, so that's the driver's side. Looks pretty good. Fits nicely. And here's the passenger side. We will have to move these hoses. I mean, they're close. They're not hitting, but they are close. So I'm going to move them just up a little higher and run them a little differently. Sorry, light's in the way. But other than that, I mean, they fit pretty good and everything like that. So we'll go ahead and just get all that buttoned up. So I'm going to do is drop the gaskets in, get all the bolts in, and just install them. Oh, my light's dying. Just install them and be done with it. All right, try to give you guys a little live action shot. But that going in there. And just gotta. Okay, nope, need two hands for this. But basically, it goes in there, and we'll just put it in loosely, so that the manifold and the gaskets, all that's in place, and then we'll tighten it down. Same thing. You just gotta bring that down and pull the gasket down inside of it. We'll tighten it up and then go from there. And then I was going to try to do the rear main in this and the oil pan, but then this happened. All the other ones came out. I didn't put the other ones back in, but all these came out except for this one. It's stripped. All right, just a little update. We're just getting the bolts in. So gaskets in there. And so we got 10 of the 12 bolts in. The ones at the back are in. Back there. And then we're going to have to use a combination of the tool that came with the headers, which is this one here, to tighten them, and probably a 3/8 open end wrench to get the ones that are kind of in some tight spaces. But so far, it's not bad. I mean, you got to kind of contort and stuff to get your hand in there to get them tight. But for the most part, we're plugging around quite fine. So once I get those in, we'll get this off. This is the old smog pump tool. Get the smog pump, all that stuff out of there. And then as we go on, we'll go in and clean stuff up and stuff like that. But my goal today is to get these headers in, get the transmission in and in place. And then I thought about it. I'm not going to put the cats in just yet because I'm actually going to make some cat delete pipes. So I'm actually going to cut the cats out and make a delete pipe and just run it straight pipe. We got some pipe right here we can use. And then shout out to my boy Tim for the donation to Frankenstein. He had some mufflers on his Impala. They were entirely too loud for him, but he did have them dumped right out the muffler before the axle. And they are some Spintex. So we're actually going to put those in my car. Right now we have some, I think, Pipes mufflers on here, and it's pretty mild and quiet. And I'll be honest, I do like them. They do sound really good. They have a very low rumble, not loud at all. And I really should leave them on here, but I'm me. So I'm going to put these loud ass Spintex on there. Probably hate it. But I think, actually, you know what? We're going to wait. Well, no, let's just do it. We're going to put the Spintex on there. We have another buddy, Dean, who's like an excellent welder, fabricator, stuff like that. He's going to help me with that. We're going to put an X pipe in it. This thing's going to sound amazing. So let me go ahead and finish plugging along on these header bolts. We'll get these in and tightened down. Once we get them in and tightened down, we'll go ahead and remove all the smog pump stuff, get that stuff out the way. Order another coolant temp switch. Now, if you are ordering that, just a little side note, that is the coolant temp sensor that feeds the from the water pump goes to the computer. The coolant temp switch is what feeds the gauge in the dash. So that's a little tech tip for you. If you have one of these cars and your freaking temp gauge is not reading, check that. That might be the problem. So that's your temp switch on the side of the head, temp sensor. We broke the switch so the car will still run fine. The gauge just won't read right now. So we'll fix that by the time we put the radiator in and all that. So let me go ahead and finish tightening these bolts down and we'll get everything done. All right, so headers are in. They are bolted, torqued, and in permanently for now. So that's kind of the fitment. I did notice they are touching the shift linkage back here, but that just could be because the shift linkage, which way is this light? Shift linkage isn't bolted in to the transmission. So I think once it's bolted in, it'll pull it back a little bit and it should be fine. If it's hitting, we'll address that. But as far as the spark plugs, I mean, it's pretty clear. You can see through there. There's no issues. Doesn't hit the steering column. Steering column's not even bolted in, actually. Actually, we need to put that in. So that's just... Ooh. Uh-oh. Well, we found our first issue. It looks like it hits the steering column. Not the steering column, the steering shaft. Not a huge deal. We'll just have to get the Jeep shaft. But I think once I get it in, it should clear it because I think it's just right there. So I think once I get it on there, it should be on the other side of this primary. So it should fit, but we'll see. Actually, let's try it out. Let's make sure. All right, so this was a whole side quest getting the smog pump off. I didn't even go into that, but I mean, it's dark outside now. That's how long it took. So I've been fighting with that for like the last hour. So that's out. All the extra piping, smog pump, all that's out. So now I'm getting ready to put the transmission in. Got this little table. I got it kind of at an angle to go in. And what I'm going to do, I don't trip, I'm going to lower the car down and then kind of just scooch it in there. I got to remember the dipstick because I did this before where I did not remember to put the dipstick in, and then that was a whole extra side quest. So make sure the dipstick is in. Well, hold on. Well, we'll put that in and then we'll come back. But basically, this is where we're at. And then once I get it in, I probably won't do this tonight, but we'll start making the lines. These are the old metal lines, and we'll start making our fresh AN lines from here. And then we'll pull off the old trans here. And once we get the new radiator will go in. And the couple cars I've done, I bypassed the radiator, and that caused me some issues. So this one, I am going to run it through the radiator and the transcooler. And also, look at this. I know y'all ain't seen this in a while. Throwback hoodie. Haven't worn it in a while, but you know, still got it. So I'll probably end the video here. I don't know how long this video has been already, but in the next video, we'll pick up where we left off. Tonight, I'm really just going to get the transmission in place, get the bell housing bolts in, and kind of just leave it there because I need to leave it down so that I can finish making the lines for the transcooler and all that. And then we'll pick this up either tomorrow or Sunday or maybe next Tuesday when I'm off. I'll come in and do it. So that's it for this one. This was a header / transmission install video. So catch you on the next one.